So what is an asset bundle? Well, if we go here at this website here, we could read the summary here and it'll basically tell you what you need to know. But essentially, we're going to take this file here and convert it into a separate file. And that file is going to be an asset bundle. And with that asset bundle, we can load our item that we've made here into the game so we can use it and do all sorts of stuff. The first thing we need to do though is make sure that our configurations over here are properly set up. So I still haven't got this icon here, so I'm gonna add my own icon for this. Alright, so I added my icon here that I've made. So I'll go back to the mod section and click on icon. And what was the name again? It was a peak. Might have been peak something. There it is, peak item 2. And now in the game it should look like the proper icon. Also, you have the ability to check this if you want. Has the main interact. So with things like food and other interactables that you find in game, having this checked is gonna show that icon on the side. I might leave this on for now just so I can demonstrate what that might look like. But this item isn't gonna have any functionality besides just being there. Anyways, if I scroll down, I'll find things that were initially on the copied prefab. So because we're copying a prefab, there's some stuff here that we might not want in our item. For example, I think this was a coconut prefab, and on all coconut prefabs, you're able to break the item, I think, when they're thrown, and you might not want that. So, I mean, if you want, you could remove this component and maybe anything else that's related to the coconut prefab that you might not want on your item. But I'll leave that on there for now just to see what that might look like. I could easily just rebuild it afterwards. But I think that's enough for the item setup. So now that that is done, in order to actually create an asset bundle, we need to go over to Package Manager, go to Package from Get URL, and I'll just paste this in here and install. Alright, now it's done installing. But if you're still having problems with Git and you're not sure how to get it set up properly, and this is maybe showing an error for some reason, then there is an alternative way to use asset bundles, and I show you that right now. And I scroll down to find the editor, so this thing here. I'm going to make a new script. Let's see, scripting, empty C# script. I'll just do that. And I'll call it create asset bundles. Now I'll just wait for that to load. Alright, looks like everything's loaded, so I'm just gonna paste this in. And you could just copy this if for some reason you're having problems with the Git. So I'm gonna save this. And I'm gonna copy this thing here, Control C. And in our assets, I'll just wait until this is done loading. Okay, so in our assets folder, I'm gonna create a new folder. Where is it? Okay, there it is. And I'll just paste in the name that was in that file. So asset bundles is the folder name, because it needs to direct all our prefabs that we've created into that folder. So again, what that does now is if we go back to, well, we actually don't need to be here, but if we go to, I think it's assets, and scroll down, we'll see this create asset bundles option now. And if we click on that, nothing will happen because we haven't really tagged anything yet, but I'll show you how to do that. So if the Git worked, I'll try to see like which one I'll stick to. But I mean, if Git did work though, you could just go to Window and then Asset Bundle Browser, and then it would build the asset that you have selected. So, but in order to do that though, we still have to tell it which asset we want to do that to. So I'm going to drag this prefab in this section here, item prefab. So I'll select this, and if you go all the way at the bottom here, you'll see this section that says asset bundle, and I'll name that whatever we want. So in the wiki, it suggests that we have, our item name, which could be anything we want, and dot p. Actually, before I even do that, I'm going to check what it says. Okay, so this is the convention that it has, my item.peak bundle. So if I go back to here and I type in new, I'll just say wand.peak bundle and press enter on that. Now if we create an asset bundle, it'll work properly. So we could do this one of two ways now, since I showed you the two ways you could do it. The first way is you could use asset bundle browser and just click on this, and then you could click build. And this is the path that is going to create the file in, which is inside the Unity project folder location. So if I click build on this, it's going to start working. Okay, so now it's downloading. You might have noticed that took a while, but anyways, if I click on browse here, I think it should take me to the file location. Yeah, it did. Nothing in here yet though, so I'm going to close it. Actually, it might just be because it's looking for a folder. So if I go in here, okay, there we go. So wand.peak bundle is our asset bundle, and right now we can't really do anything with that because there's still some extra steps we need to take before we can actually load this into the game. But if you look at where this is located, you could see that this is outside of our assets folder. Inside of our assets folder, this is where our mod file is and everything else. So if you wanted to find this in your folder, you would just go one step out of the assets folder, go up, and then you would be taken to this location here where your asset bundle is. But again, like I mentioned, this took quite a bit of time, and maybe it wouldn't take this much time for you, but from my experience, it looks like at least using this create asset bundles option here works a bit faster. So this thing that we have set up here, which creates this button here, might be a bit faster for you. But it's whichever one you want. They both should do the same thing. If you click create assets bundle here, you can see right now the folder is empty, but if I click on this, look how fast this is. Maybe I'll just cut to it because they're both still slow, but this one should be faster. Okay, that one only took like a 1 minute and 10 seconds. The other one took, I think, like 2 minutes, 15 seconds. I don't know if this is like the average time. Right now the folder is still empty. I think if I exit out of the program and re-enter, it should be there, because that's what usually happens. I open it back up, and yeah, now it's here. Okay, so now the asset bundle's here. It's the same thing. So if I opened up in the Explorer, we can see it here, and this is the one that we would copy. Okay. Now that we have our asset bundle, the next step we should do is to download Dependencies so that we can view it in the game itself. So I'm going to download Dependencies, which will help us to actually load our item into the game. I'm also going to download a couple of other mods as well, which will also help with that. So I'm going to do a manual download on this. I'm going to save it. I'll just save it on the desktop for now, why not? And the next one is peak lib items. So I'm going to manually download this as well. And because it also has a dependency, we should also download the dependency so that the mod actually works. We don't need to download this since it's already installed. So save. Now to the next one. These are all going to be in the description. Peak lib core, manual download, and then the dependency, which I'll put into a separate tab. So it should be here now. Soft dependency fix, manual download, and then the dependency for libcore is here, which I think they both use the same dependency for this. Manual download for this. And then a manual download for this. Now I can exit out of this. And I think... Okay, so we also need the peak lib UI. So manual download for this. And we don't need the dependency here because we already installed it. So this is fine. So I'll exit out of the UI. And this is just for convenience, so we can spawn our item in to check it out. So yeah, I'll just download this. Once you actually get your mod set up, you won't need this here. So just install that. And that should be all the downloads we need. So I'm going to exit out of this and this. Pretty much all of them, actually. I'll keep this tab open. But yeah. So what we need to do now is just go to the peak file location. So I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to go to, where was it? Explorer, file explorer. So it'll show this thing here. And what we need to do now is go to where we installed the Dependencies. Just drag that in here. I'm actually going to drag this and put it into the peak section. So now we'll delete the zip file since we don't need it here. And if you check on the Dependencies folder, you'll see this plugins folder here. It's going to be empty. A couple other things are going to be empty as well. I'm actually going to go to config and I'm going to enable the console just so we can see if any errors happen and all this stuff. So login.console. This might be a simple text file for you, but basically what you're looking for is login.console and you're going to set enabled to true. I'm just going to save it. And now I'm going to go to peak and on Steam and I'm going to play the game. You'll see a console show up here. Just wait until the game actually fully loads. Oh, new logo. Okay, so the game's loaded. We don't have to wait until the menu shows up. All we needed was that screen to show up, or honestly, the game to load. I'll just wait until this goes off. Okay, so if I open up the folder now and we check our Dependencies folder, you'll see more files are added in. And what I'll do now is I'll go back to where we installed all that other stuff. All these files here, I'll copy this and I'll put them in the, well actually not all of them should be here because some of them are, well we'll see. Well, I'll paste them all in here. I'll extract soft dependency here. And so now it should be in its own folder. So I'll delete the zip file. I'll extract the UI. And delete the zip. I'll extract the lib items. Actually, which one? Okay, I'll extract the item here. Okay, extract all. Then delete it. Same with peak core, extract all here. Then delete it, the zip file. And then mono detour and mono Dependencies. So I'm going to leave that as is. And I'm going to extract this item browser here, which is just for, you know, quality of life for us to make testing a bit easier. Then I'll delete the zip file again. And okay, so I'm going to take these two zip files here and I'm going to bring them into Dependencies, the Dependencies parent folder. And these are, I believe, core files. So I'll check what the dependencies were, because they're not supposed to be in plugins. I know that. Okay, I guess it can be in plugins. I guess I'll see if there's any errors. I'll know why. So I'll just extract both of these here, then I guess. Extract, I'll delete detour. Extract. Oh, okay, it is, okay, so it is a patcher. I see. It tells you. Okay, so these two should not be in here. This should be in the core. Okay. So I'll copy this folder. I'll copy the core folder. No, okay, I'll just copy the DLLs. I'll copy this. So the mono detour is a core, should be in the core float folder. So I'll go over here, put this in here. Dependencies, go back to plugins, and then I'll just get rid of mono detour. And I'll go here and I'll check this core. Okay, so this one should be in core, and then there's another section that should be in somewhere else. So I'll paste this first in core. Then I'll go to the patches section and paste this in patches. Okay, and that's all the mods that we need. So if I go back to Dependencies plugins, I can delete this folder, and that's it. Okay, we have all our dependencies now, so the next step is to actually load our item. So now I'm going to go to Visual Studio. So I'm going to open this, and I'm going to make a new project. So I'm going to click on Create a New Project. Then I'm going to look for this specific tag, class library, and this description, exact tags. Double click on that. I'm going to name this my staff. You can name it whatever, obviously, and I'll change the directory of this actually. All right, so I have my directory selected, and make sure this is not selected. This should be unchecked. So I'm going to click on Next now, and I'm going to click on 2.1. That's standard 2.1. And now we have this file. So I'm going to rename this to plugin. Yes. And now this should be renamed. And I'm going to save that, Control S, and I'm going to, was it Windows or is it Project? Okay, Project, Manage NuGet Packages. I think I click on this config here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so for you this won't show this, but basically if this isn't here, I'm just going to exit out of this just to do I need this? I'm going to exit out of it just to see. Okay, so this should be here, and if it's not, then you could add it with this plus icon. But what should also be here is Dependencies. So if you type in Dependencies as a name here and paste in this URL, then click on OK, and then you'd be all set. And just click on all here, which I guess we didn't really need to do that since I'm just gonna give you a bunch of stuff to copy down. So I'm gonna exit out of this. I'm going to unload the unload project, and it should look like this. But now it looks like this. So I've pasted in a couple stuff, and you can copy all of this. Just make sure that the file location is the same. If you've installed Peek on a different drive, then just make sure it's pointing to the assembly file. Make sure it's pointing basically to the proper location. If you don't know where to find this, if you open up Peek and you go to was it Properties, Explorer, and you go to Peek Data, was it? Yeah, Managed. This is what, okay, so you see this assembly file here, and the location where it is, it's in this C drive. If I go down here into the csproj, it's pointing to that exact location. So all of these things here, if you've installed a Peek on like a different drive and you don't know the exact path to put, just make sure it's pointing to this exact path here, wherever that is on your computer. So just copy all of this and you should be good. I'll put this in the description. Actually, you know what? I'll put the whole project in the description, so you don't have to worry about copying stuff or copying things the wrong way. It'll all be in the description on the GitHub. So this whole project will be on GitHub, so you don't have to go through the trouble of copying everything tediously. But I'm gonna save this now. I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna reload project with dependencies. Oh, actually, you know what? I've always had problems with this star here. So this star might be causing some problems. If this star is causing problems for you, if the version is like, if none of the assemblies are loaded, basically, it might be because of the stars. And if that's happening, then you could just look up what the latest version is and just use that instead. So if you looked up Dependencies analyzers and you see that the latest version is like 1.2, then just use 1.2. And same for the rest, because sometimes the stars like bugs out. Anyways, if you're not having that problem, then you don't have to worry about that, because it seems like it's working for me now. But okay, and now I've pasted this in as well. This is like a template that you could find on, I think, somewhere in here. Yeah, I think that this template's on the custom items page, and I've just modified it a bit to be more specific to what I'm doing. So I don't think I need this. I'll just get rid of that. Do they have that in there? No. Okay, that's just something I added. Okay, so now we can start to see things come together. So this my item thing should obviously be the asset bundle that we need, and it's not called my item, so we're gonna call that whatever we called it in here. What did we call it? We called it wand.peak something. So it's in here. So wand.peak bundle. So that's what we should rename this to. So wand.peak bundle. I save that. Now I think if we press Control B, that should build our mod. And we're very close to seeing it in game. Okay, so it's finally built. If I right click on this and click Open Folder in File Explorer, and I go to bin, debug, net standard 2.1, and I scroll down to what my DLL is called. So this is our, well, you might have called it something else, so just look for whatever you call it, also with the PDB file. That way we can actually view errors and whatever properly. So now if I go into the Bepinex, okay, close this actually. I'll open the game folder again, so Bepinex, plugins, and paste this in here. And we also need, actually I'm gonna, I'm gonna pin this just so it's easier to access. Okay, so I'm going to go to Unity, I'm going to go to Asset Bundles, and I'm going to Show in Explorer, copy this, and then just put it in the plugins. It should be in the same directory as the DLL, and yeah, that should be good. Okay, so now if I start the game, which I guess I could... yeah, whatever. I'll start the game. I was going to close Unity, but whatever. If I take a look at the console, okay, we could see that item was loaded, which means that this line here was just, was called correctly, and things are looking good right now. Okay. Okay, so I've loaded into the game, and on the modding website, it tells us that pressing F5 will open up this item browser. So again, this is just like a quality of life mod that we have on, so I'm just going to use that to easily test stuff. So if I press F5, we should see, you know, a bunch of items that we can spawn in, and if I look for staff, we can see my item here, and if I press that, we can see it. It's in our hands, it's in the game. We've successfully modded an item into the game. So that works, but you'll notice something very strange happening, and that is the name is not looking correctly. If you look at the name, you can see it's not good. Something bad about it. Also, does this break? Because I'm using the coconut. Okay, it threw an error because it's not meant to break. It doesn't have a prefab for it, but it still works. I'll probably just remove that component. Okay, so the item spawns incorrectly. We can close the game. That all works fine. Okay, so the first thing I want to fix is the error that shows up in the console when we throw something. Even though that doesn't really have like a gameplay effect, because users won't be able to see that error, it's just nice not having the console throw errors, and I don't know, maybe there's a potential error with that I don't know about. So I'm going to remove the breakable component. And I honestly, the easiest way to go about doing this is just to copy an item that doesn't break. Like possibly the binoculars, I think, or no, because that has too many custom components to it. I think the best thing to do if you're copying a prefab to replace with your own item is to use something that doesn't have too many components on it. Like, obviously make sure it has the item component to it, but if it has some custom behavior like breaking if you throw it, then it's probably not a good item to use. Something like an apple would be a good item to use if you're thinking of something basic, because then you could just remove the main interact component here, and that would be fine. But anyways, I think just removing the breakable thing should be fine. I don't know what this does. I'm gonna remove that. Actually, yeah, I'll remove this. Remove component. I wonder if this is also causing any issue. I hope not, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, that should be it. Okay. It doesn't. Interestingly, there isn't anything I have to save here. I'll Control S anyways. Okay, so this is still in there. I'll rebuild the asset bundle. Oh, by the way, okay, so one thing I forgot to mention. Because this is enabled, we also need a name for this, so I'll just put Zoltrack here. But again, there's not going to be any custom behavior for this. I'm just going to show you like how you could get the name to work if you were to add a custom behavior, but I am not going to be adding any. So I'll build the asset bundle. Then I'll go back to the plugins area and remove all of this stuff here, because we're gonna create new ones. Okay. So also make sure that the asset bundle is new. Sometimes you might copy the same one because it hasn't finished loading yet. But I'm gonna show an explorer. asset bundles, weak wand dot peak bundle. Copy that, paste this in here. Now I can close that, and I'm going to open up this thing here. Okay, so I'm going to paste something in. That should help us with the naming issue that we had earlier. Okay, so this is an example of what you could do to get the name working correctly. You basically use this prefix here and your item name. So for me, because my item name is, let's see, Freeman Staff, I would do this. So Freeman Staff, and you would write the translation in English, so Freeman Staff, and in French, Frieren Staffu French. I don't know, I don't speak French. But anyways, you'd basically do this for all of them for the translations. So I'll just Control Z this, as I've already done it. So I guess I wrote it in capitals. Maybe you'll need to write it in capitals, capitalized as well, even though it's common here. I mean, it is the in-game default, I think, to display everything as capital letters if you're about to pick it up. But for main interactions, if you had one, this would be how you'd go about it. And again, this is all in the description anyways. It's all posted on GitHub. So if you wanted to just copy everything, you'd probably already see all of this stuff. But yeah, if you switched your language to French, it would just display French. If you switched it to Italian, I'll just leave it like this for now, just so I can display this in game. But basically what we're going to do now is just copy this and call it in here. So yeah, that should work. So now, assuming everything works right, if I save this, Control B build, I can show file, bin, debug, net standard, scroll down until you find your files, go to plugin, launch the game, and assuming everything works, the translations should be fine, well the naming should be fine, it shouldn't be weird names anymore, and also it shouldn't show an error in the console when we throw items, hopefully. Okay, so there's no errors, that doesn't matter. Everything's working fine, there's nothing, okay. Okay, so now if I spawn an item, F5, staff, there it is. Okay, so it's no longer esoteric. The naming is correct. You can see it shows English. If I change my language to, let's say, Spanish, it should, well, let's say France, it should show France. There it is. It says French down here. So if I go back to English, just so I don't confuse myself. And if I throw it on the, let's see if I throw it, if anything happens. Hopefully not. Okay, good. Okay, good. So removing the component works as well. And now that's basically all the bugs fixed. The next step is to see if the spawns in the world are naturally. And the way you control spawns is also a thing you can modify in here. So if I could just find that. Okay, here it is. Loot data. This is where you would go to modify where your item will spawn naturally in game. So if you want your item to be very common, you would put it in here. And if you want it to spawn at the first location, would be to just, I think Luggage Beach would be it. I think so, Luggage Beach. And then I will unselect tree and just, if I do Luggage Beach, then your item has a high chance of spawning at the beach if we spawn in the game. And I do have footage of that, so I spawned in a world, and I opened a luggage case, and there was a wand there, so it worked fine. If you have everything set up the way it is, if you have everything set up the way it is, then you'll also be able to see your items spawning naturally in the world as well. So that's pretty much it for asset bundles, and possibly for the whole series. Now I noticed that the hands still weren't as close as I'd like them to be. So I don't know, maybe I have to put them closer like this, and that'll do something. But yeah.